Hey, did you know that there were Baptists behind the first Thanksgiving? Let me tell you about it today on the Daily Download. So, our story starts in England in the early 1600s, maybe even the late 1500s. There were a group of believers who were pretty frustrated about how things were going with the Church of England. A guy by the name of James I is the king. You might recognize that name because this is the guy who brings us the King James Bible later on. I mean, yay for the Bible part, but boo for the way that he was leading the church. There was corruption and there were all kinds of questions, and there was a lot of heavy-handed managing of people in the way that they read the Bible and the way that they worshiped. Now, people that were sincere believers, I think, handled this in one of two ways. One group became the Puritan movement. They wanted to purify the church. But there were another group of people who were like, nope, we're out. This whole system is broken, and we don't want to be a part of any of it. And they were named the Separatists. They began holding these secret meetings. A place called the Gainsborough Church that was in Lincolnshire was one of the most famous of these groups. And there's a guy by the name of John Smith, another guy by the name of Thomas Helwys, who were prominent preachers in this Gainsborough Church, which was kind of an underground movement that stressed the importance of religious liberty and really seeking God and what he had to say in the Bible instead of following the traditions of men. So these guys are preaching and they're teaching. People are meeting in secret. It's quite a thing. And there is a young man by the name of William Bradford. He's a teenager who begins going to these secret meetings. He's listening to what's being said. God's working in his heart, and he believes this is the right place for him to be and for him to go. Fast forward just a little bit. Richard Clifton and John Robinson are also a part of this Gainsborough Church, and they, with other separatists, decide that they can't continue to live in England. Suddenly, some of them are being put in jail, and they're being oppressed and fined because of their religious beliefs and because they're having these worship services and these meetings outside of the normal Anglican church. And so they're like, we're done with all this, we're moving. And so they pick up and they all move to Amsterdam, where they establish their church, and actually 2 or 3, maybe 4 different churches who begin to worship and to seek God in this place where there's a lot of religious freedom. And that's all great for a season, but eventually they decide maybe this place isn't quite right for us. At least some of them did, and we'll get to them in a minute. In 1611, John Smith and Thomas Helwys, who we mentioned earlier, actually formed the First Baptist Church. They've met some Anabaptists, that's really Mennonites, who had come to see that the Bible demonstrates over and over that baptism should always follow the decision to become a Christian. Therefore, believers' baptism and not baptism as infants was the right way to go. And so they became the First Baptist in 1611. Meanwhile, the Bradford group, Bradford, who's now leading part of the church that's there in Amsterdam, becomes uncomfortable with the fact that their kids are growing up and not around British culture, but more among what's going on in Amsterdam. They're not comfortable with things that are going on there and the things that their kids are running into and being taught. And so they decide Amsterdam is not the place that they should be. Maybe they'd be better off going to the New World. And so they begin looking for boats to rent. One of those is named the Mayflower. And of course, that leads to the story that we'll pick up on tomorrow. But for today, I'd want you to know that these separatists, originally driven by guys John Smythe and Thomas Helwys, who were the first Baptists in the whole world, were key to the beginning of the quest that would lead us to Plymouth on Thanksgiving Day in the early 1600s. All right, that's our story for today. I hope you're having a great Thanksgiving week. Hope that you're looking to the Lord and that you're aware today. Be thankful for the roots that you have as a Baptist and how they play into this big story of Thanksgiving in a way that maybe you didn't know. Love you guys. Have a fantastic day. We'll look forward to seeing you tomorrow.